All right, so I'm looking at, this is from CC3. This is Chapter 9, Chapter 9 Closure. This is CL, the closure question 2-92. So we have a word problem, right? So the question is saying define a variable, then write the equation for the following problem. Remember that you can use the 5D process to help you do this. Then solve your equation and state your answer in a sentence. Show your work in an organized way. So the 5D process, remember the first step of the 5D process is a guess and check table. That's what I'm going to start with, is my guess and check table. So my guess and check table I'm going to have is, let's see, let me get it started here. So we read the number of students attending the fall play was 150 more, so 150 more than the number of adults. So I've got two variables. I'm going to have the number of adults and the number of students. Okay, and then it gets into the tickets. So student ticket costs $3, and adult tickets cost $5. So not only do I have to talk about the number of each, but I also have to talk about the, let's go with adult ticket money, and then student ticket money, right? So when we talk about number of adults, we also then have to figure out how much money the adults collected based on the price of the ticket. And then last thing is the total number. So I'm going to write total money collected. That's going to be the last bit of my guess and check table. Let's make sure I can get all that in there. All right. So here's what I've got. Let's just do some guessing, play around with some numbers, and see how far we can get here. Okay. So the first is just guess a number of adults. Let's start with, say, 200. If I had 200 adults, well, we know that it says in there's 150 more. So there's the students, right? The number of students was 150 more than the adults. So if adults are 200, students are 350, 150 more. And then price, we know that for adult tickets, it told me, I'll write it here, it was $5 each. So if it's $5 each, I'm going to do the math and say $5 times 200 is $1,000. That's what they collected from adults. And then with students, we read that it was $3 each. So with $3 each, we're going to say $3 times 350, and that's going to give me $1,050. So if I now, the total money collected we know was equal to $4,730. So really, I then look at how much I got here. If I add those two up, that does not equal 4,000. It equals 2,050. So that's way too low. Get some more room. Lift this up a little bit. So that's too low. So I'm going to have to keep going and guess. That's probably twice. That's less than half. So I'm going to bump this up to 400 and double my guess, just so that way I can get closer quicker. So if there's 400 students, 400 adults, 150 more, right? So I'll write myself a little note so I keep remembering this. 150 more is what students were. So if that's 400, 150 more makes that 550. So $5 an adult makes that $2,000. And then $3 for students, 3 times 550 gives me 1,650. And if I add those up, 2,000 plus 1,650, that is 3,650, which is still too low. Got to guess higher. We're getting kind of closer. Let's just go up by 100. Let's say 500 adults. 500 adults, and that would make this 650 students, right? 150 more. So 5 times 500. So the adult ticket sales was 2,500. Student ticket sales, 3 times 650 is 1,950. If I add those two up, 2,500 plus 1,950, that's going to give me 4450. That's close. I'm still too low. I still got to guess higher, but definitely a lot closer. Don't need to go 100 higher, I don't think, because I was jumping up by almost 1,000 every time I went 100 higher. So let's go. Let's try. Let's go with 40 higher. So 540. So 540. And then that would make 150 more than that would make that 690. Oh, I picked numbers that now I got to think through my math here. So we've got $5 times that. Okay, that's not so bad. $5 times that is going to be 20, let's see, 27. So 2,700. And then $3 times the number of students is 2,070. So if I add those two numbers, 2,700 plus 2,070, that's going to give me, oh man, that's really close. So that's going to give me 4,770. It's just a little bit too high. I need $40 off. So I'm not talking about many tickets here at all. So I'm going to just delete, I'm going to go down by 5. So we'll go 535 adults. And so if I say 535 plus 150, that makes that 600 and, let's see, 685. All right, now comes the math here. 5 times 300 or 535 makes this 2,675. Okay, and then 685. Problem like this, absolutely a calculator would be allowed because you're dealing with a little larger numbers, and I'm trying to assess whether you can do the problem solving, not necessarily get bogged down by the math. So that's 2,055. So if I add those two numbers, 2,675 and 2,055, when I add those up, I believe I got it, didn't I? Yeah, that's 4,730. So that's exactly what I needed. So I guessed up to what I needed. So there's my guess and check. So now we could have got this answer. Once we started to figure out this pattern, we could have got to that answer using the equation. So I wanted to get the answer here. So then I'm going to show you now the equation that we would build. So remember, the equation is you start with what did you guess? Which number did you guess on? I started by guessing this number here. So I'm going to call that my x. Then from that number, I got this number. How did I get it? Every time I took and I added 150. So that's the expression that represents the number of students. So the expression for the number of adults is x. The expression for the number of students is x plus 150. Then what did I do to get the cost? I did $5 times the number of adults. So this would be 5x. $5 times the number of adults, 5x. For students, it was $3 times the number of students. Every time I took this 3 and multiplied it by each of those numbers to come up with the total ticket cost for students. So this one's a little trickier. Remember, it's 3 times what? What is my variable expression? It's the quantity x plus 150. So you got to use parentheses when you're multiplying because it's 3 times all of this. 3 times all of this. And then what was the equation? The equation was taking the number, the money values, these two columns, and checking to see if it equals the amount we want. So the equation in this case is going to be simply what we did, taking these two values, one being 5x, the other being 3 times the quantity x plus 150, adding them and setting them equal to what we want. What we want was 4,730. So now I'm saying 5 times some value plus 3 times that value plus 150 needs to equal this 4,730. So we backwards map this equation to get the answer. Okay, so it was starting with the x plus 150 to find the number of students, multiply each x, which is each adult number, by the $5 amount, and then multiply each student amount, the number of tickets, by the $3, add those two up and set it equal to what I wanted. That's my equation. So how would I solve this? First, got to simplify and combine like terms. So I know I can take that 3 and distribute it. So it's plus 3x plus 450, right? I have to take that 3, right? And remember the process of taking that 3 and distributing it to each of the pieces in that parentheses. Equals 4,730, right? I'm going to draw my little equation line so I keep myself balanced. Combine like terms, 8x plus 450 equals 4,730. Now, doing the opposite operations, remember the goal is to get x alone, so I'm going to subtract 450 from both sides. And when I do that, I end up with 8x is equal to, those two numbers subtracted is 4,280. And then the last step, to get x alone, right, I have 8 times x, so I need to do the opposite, which is divide by 8. And 4,280 divided by 8 is 535. So that's my x value, which checks out to be what I ended up with for my final answer when I did my guess and check. Whew. So the answer then, because now we got to go back to the word problem, which was to answer this in a complete sentence, right? Answer this as a word problem needs to be answered. How many students attended the play? So we go back and I say, okay, the number of adults we just got with X. So they want to know how many students. So my final answer will be there were 685 students who attended the play. And that right there is my final answer, based on the guess and check table, the equation, and the final answer in a sentence. There you go.